In case you're wondering why I don't have snow in my background, and that's because I live in Queensland, Australia, and it is summertime right now, so it's very hot instead of very cold. And today it seems like it might rain or it's been raining, I'm not sure. Anyway, today I would like to talk to you about what entrepreneur taught me after 5 months of doing so. So the first one is I somehow tied my self-worth to my income. Let me explain. So when I was entering the workforce, I was told that I should pay attention to the pay package, right? The salary and which is the base pay and the benefits and all that, right? So not only that, when I was working, I should also aim to get a pay rise every year, because when I don't get a pay rise, it felt like a setback, right? Not only that, after a year or two or more of working in the same role, I should aim to get a promotion. That means I should get into a higher position in the same career pathway. So I've been doing that all my career of 12 years, right? Every year I would try to get a pay rise, and every couple of years I would try to get the promotion. And whenever I change my job, like I jump to another company, I would also try to get a higher pay package than the previous job, because again, that's a sign of career progression, right? And so doing that year after year, I somehow subconsciously, unknowingly tie my self-worth to the salary or the income. And I never stopped and realized that fact until I quit my job and I started my own business. That means I dipped my toes into entrepreneurship. And I realized that, as you know, as you can expect, in the first few months, if not the first 6 months, if not the first year, if not the first 2 or 3 years, you might not earn anything, or you might earn some money, but not as much as what you used to earn in your previous job. And that's my case, right? And when my income reduced or didn't come in at all, I somehow felt very bad. Not feeling bad that there's no money coming in or there's not enough money coming in, but I felt bad about myself. And I felt like that for a while, I would say like a couple of weeks. And so I started to look into what caused me to feel so bad about myself. And I realized that because I felt like I was worthless, not having money coming in or not having enough money coming in. And so that's when I figured out, oh, for the longest time, I tied my self-worth to my income, right? And how I snapped myself out of that, I realized that I am still the same person as before, regardless of how much money I earn. Not only that, I'm actually a better version of myself compared to when I was working in the previous job or even in the jobs before, because doing business taught me many more skills and many more things, right? There's so many more things that I gained from doing this that is not necessarily monetary, right? So in a way, I'm a better version of myself than before. And so I should not feel bad or feel worthless that I don't have money coming in or I don't have enough money coming in. That's when I stopped tying my self-worth to my income. The next thing that I learned about being an entrepreneur is that the pay structure is very different when you do your business. What I mean is salary versus compensation delay. So before, when I showed up, could just be checking email or even show up to a meeting, I didn't say a word for like full hour, right? I got paid. You know that, right? So just show up, I got paid. These days, not only I showed up, I worked really, really hard, harder than when I was doing 9 to 5, because the name suggests 9 to 5. After 5, I don't work, or 5:30, right? Every occasionally I had to attend a meeting with Europe side, which is like 9 p.m. or whatever, but that's not common thing. So that's fine. Before I quit my job and started my business, a couple of business owners actually warned me about working very, very hard as a business owner, like much harder than when you were working for a company. They warned me that. And so I got myself into this position knowing that would be the case. And so I'm not complaining about working much more than when I was working for 9 to 5. But the thing that I could not wrap my head around at that time was I worked this hard, I put this much effort into it, I put so much energy and time into it, but I didn't see a cent. That's like messed me up mentally for a month or two because I was so used to showing up and getting paid, right? So when I started to look deep into the mechanism of the different pay structure, like just to try to wrap my head around it, I kind of came up with this analogy, or maybe that's a real situation, that say you work for a company, the business has already been established. Everything has already been established, right? Everything's running as it's been designed to run. And you show up to do certain tasks and then you get paid because you do certain tasks, okay? That's how work is. But when you do your own business, it's like showing up to a business that the building hasn't even been completed, and you still have to grab, whatever tool and keep building the actual establishments before you actually get to do the actual day-to-day tasks and get paid. So you are building your business instead of you showing up to do certain tasks. That's how I kind of wrap my head around it at the end. The next thing that I learned being entrepreneur for 5 months is competition versus collaboration. Actually, Aaron Knightley talked a lot about this in his video, and that kind of in a way got me to analyze my own situation, and I agree with him. So if you haven't watched his video, I highly recommend. So when I was employed, I didn't particularly felt supported by my colleagues or workmates, whatever you call them, right? Because everyone wanted the same thing. Say everyone's wanting pay rise, the same thing as me. Everyone wanting that promotion. Let's say there's one job opening, but there are like 5 of us in the team, right? And so the dynamics in the team, even though you work together and you're supposed to kind of get along well and all that, right? But it becomes competition rather than a supportive environment because they also want what you want. Now people that I meet, they have their own thing. I have my own thing, but our things kind of tie together because we are part of the supply chain, right? So if I win, they win, or if they win, I win. It becomes win-win situation where back in the office, working for a company together with my colleagues, my win could be someone's loss, their win could be my loss, right? It is a very different dynamics. So that's what I mean by competition versus supportive, because when we all win together as business owners or part of the supply chain, we want to make sure that what we do support each other and we arrive at the same goal together. The next one is the thing that I learned that hit me hard, I have to say. 9 to 5 job owns you more than 9 to 5. What I mean in particular might be something that you haven't experienced before. Let's see. So if you go onto my LinkedIn profile and if you look back from the day I joined LinkedIn, which was I think 2013 or something like that, up until the last job that I worked and I quit, right, for 12 years pretty much, I never posted a single thing on LinkedIn. And I didn't really plan to do it like that, but I think subconsciously I knew I shouldn't post anything out of fear. What's the fear? Fear of getting myself in trouble. Why am I getting myself in trouble by posting it on LinkedIn? Because regardless of what I posted, it would not have anything to do with the work I was doing or it might not have anything to do with the company I was working for at the time. But by posting something, someone might see it and they might take it the wrong way, or they might not agree with what I said. And they could mention that to the manager. Next thing you know, it's escalated to HR. And next thing you know, I got put into a meeting room. By the way, that's never happened because I never posted. But let's go along with this scenario. They could say, I know what you posted has nothing to do with your job. I know it has nothing to do with the company. But by you posting that, and we don't like it because you make the company look bad. Why? Because you're still representing the company, even though I posted after 9 to 5, right? Could be the weekend, could be midnight, whatever. But in a way, I was still representing the company. And so what I say and do publicly could come back to the company or could put company's reputation at risk, right? And so I knew that, even though I didn't really stop and think about it. And so I never posted anything at all on LinkedIn. Only after I quit my job and I started my business. And that's when I realized, you know what, I have a lot of things I want to say publicly. There is this thing that I feel like people should know or should talk about more, or we should have this discussion or whatever it is. And so since then, since I quit my job, I started my business. I have been posting consistently on LinkedIn at least twice a week, if not 3 times a week. What I got out of that, or what the outcome was, which is very surprising to me, is I have been getting at least 1 connection request every day. That means I'm growing network, where before rarely someone would send a request. Or when I sent a request to someone, I was ignored most of the time, which is fair enough. When I look back, like, I get why that was the case, right? Not only that, it seems like there are opportunities coming my way because what I've been posting about, right? They want some company now wanted to work with me. Could be consultation job, could be, project-based kind of job. That got me thinking. So go back to when I didn't post anything. I do not want to know for a fact how many opportunities I might have missed because I did not put myself and my thoughts out there. Right? The worst part about this realization is that it means I only had one pathway to grow my career, which was within the company that I was working for, or me applying for the next job somewhere else. So I was limiting myself in terms of what could have been, what could be the opportunity, right, by not posting. And so that in a way forced me into this one pathway for my career progression. And as you know, that pathway, you don't have a control over, they would give you that job or they would give you that promotion or not. Sure, you can work as hard as you can. You can be the best employee that you can, but as we all know, promotion is not given out based on performance purely. There are other factors, and so that's the part that you don't have control over. It depends on their perception of you or their plan, the direction of the company, all of the above, right? So you're now limiting yourself to the mercy of whoever makes the decision to give you the promotion or to give you the next job that you apply for. Just because I did not put myself out there, I did not put my thought out there, which is fair enough, because I think back that I imagine that how it happened was someone, if ever someone came across my LinkedIn profile, and the only thing that they could see was my study and job histories, my name, my photo, who I worked for at the time, and that's about it. Like, there's not much for them to go on in terms of, will this person be interesting enough for my job or my project? They don't have enough information to make that call, because there's nothing else there. Now that I post what I'm about or how I think, right? Now they have something to go on and make that call. The last thing that I learned up to this point after 5 months of being entrepreneur is grief that came with leaving my old world behind. This one is a sad one, and it's a little bit unexpected to me. You might say, oh yes, sis, I know that from day one. Good for you. What I mean is mourning relationships that I thought were real and lasting, only to find out that they were mostly tied to the context. So the context means we go to the office every day, we sit next to each other, we work in the same team, or it could be the rhythm of 9 to 5, like we show up to this team meeting every week together, or we go on team building every quarter, or whatever it might be, right? Or we gelled because we had the same, or we had common feelings towards certain things or certain people in the office, right? So I genuinely thought that some of those relationships would continue after I left my 9 to 5. I assumed that we would still cheer each other on like we used to do, right, when we were working together. But when I stepped outside of 9 to 5 structure, most of these connections quietly faded. It's more than that. So not only they don't keep up with the private message or social media posts, that kind of thing, like beyond that personal thing. Even professional platform like LinkedIn, I know for a fact that they saw my posts, but they do not engage. They don't click like, they don't comment. And I could come up with a couple of guesses of why that would be the case. The first thing could be that I don't know if I upset anyone by me leaving my job, right? Some of my colleagues might feel like, oh, now we have a gap in this workflow or whatever it might be, or they have to work harder to cover whatever I used to do, whatever, I don't know. I'm not there, so I don't know for a fact. But let's say someone is upset, but some other people that are not upset with me, but they can't really, or they don't want to show that they're still on good terms with me, so they kind of remove themselves, so they don't engage with my post or me at all, just so that they keep the perception of I'm neutral. Could be that, another reason could be that some people, I'm sure, are not happy in their role or not happy working 9 to 5, period. And by seeing my post about me going out there doing my thing, that could stir up some uncomfortable feelings for themselves, and so they rather not see me or my posts, and that's fine. The thing is, I don't blame them, I don't blame myself. It's just the context. It's about the context. So if you're experiencing this as well as an entrepreneur and you want to share your story, please write it in the comment. I'll come back and read them. Also, if you are thinking of leaving 9 to 5 and listening to what I've learned in the past 5 months, what's your thought? You can share with me. I will come back and read the comment as well. I hope you like this video, and thank you for watching. See you in the next one.